This is LA's first.
Live from Los Angeles, welcome to the Dr. Erin Show. We're all about manifestation, transformation, and breakthroughs. It's time to claim your birthright of prosperity, vitality, and love. So grab your tea or coffee because together we're awakening the world. May you live your truth. Live from Los Angeles, we come together each day to know the truth, live on spiritual principle, and align with universal law. We also come together in community. In Soulciété and New Thought Global, we truly believe that when somebody awakens, they have a gift and message to bring to the world. And together, we are awakening the world. We are all about enlightenment, entrepreneurship, and empowerment. So I think it's very appropriate to talk about the kind of sadness and I'm sure a lot of depression out there in the midst of everything going on in the world. So the title of today's talk is Feeling Down in a Funk and Hopeless, the Ultimate Surrender. So I was speaking with a dear girlfriend and she was saying that she just was feeling down, that actually even in the midst of all this, she's doing well financially. Her business is still doing well. Her family's well and all the above. But she just feels down. And I think that, first of all, we have to recognize that we are connected to everyone and everything. So if you don't have moments where you're feeling down, you're probably kind of lying to yourself in that how can you not feel the sadness of the collective right now? It's impossible. You are connected to everything everywhere. So I first just want to recognize and have people realize that there's nothing wrong with feeling down. It's a natural state of being alive, that life has all dynamics to it. But in particular, right now, we need to take a look at what's going on for us collectively and what is really happening and why people can feel hopeless or feeling down or in a funk in the midst of this. And obviously for some people, they think that they're feeling down or in a funk or hopeless because maybe they lost their job or maybe they've lost a lot of money to their name or maybe they don't have, money to pay their bills or money to buy food or who knows, whatever that is. And so they're looking and thinking, well, this is why I'm in a funk, okay? But we have to recognize that actually what's really going on is something even much bigger than that. From a spiritual perspective, the entire work that we do is shifting back to the I am identity. And it is some of the hardest work you'll ever do in your life. We call it spiritual warfare because it's actually the greatest threat to the ego, which is being stripped of the identity. And what is identity, right? So we have identity of who we are in our title. We have identity of the relationship, the status of our relationship, identity as being a mom, identity as being a sister, identity as being a friend, identity as being whatever that is. We have identity and we attach to our identity out in the world. We find our identity in who we are, a man, a woman, whatever it is, what we look like, the size of our clothing, how much we weigh. We get identity from the car that we drive. We get identity from the job that we have. We get identity by the people that we hang out with. We get identity through all the advertising and what we identify with. We get identity. And what's really happening right now is our identity is getting stripped at a profound level through this shift in the pandemic and the lockdown, the economical crises and everything. This is a spiritual, like dying and being reborn. So we're stripped of everything we don't get to keep, right? And so what's happening is we've been stripped of a lot of things, and we're stripped of, say, being able to just go out and eat in a restaurant, or we're being stripped of being able to just travel whenever, wherever. We're stripped of all these things. And as so many people are saying, like, the world is not going to go back to how it was. We're not going to go back to our traditional jobs. We're going to, work out of the house or whatever that is. It's a whole new world. The potential is that we're not just going to be able to travel internationally whenever, wherever. We may not be able to ever go back to the old ways of so many things of what we did. And in that, from a subconscious perspective, we recognize that what we thought made us happy, what we thought was our identity, what we thought mattered, it shifts, what we care about changes in the perspective. We no longer, our values shift in the midst of this. And so what happens for people is if you haven't done your deep, deep core work and released the identity of this world and released those kind of false identity of what we thought life was, it can be a real hard time for people because they're trying, it's like being in a ship and you go out to sea and all of a sudden you don't see land anymore. You're just out in the middle of the sea. And in fact, you don't have any anchor going down to ground and you're floating out there. And it can be a real scary experience, right? It's like everything you've ever known in life gets ripped out beneath you. The rug, as you know it, your construct of what life is, gets pulled out below you. Oftentimes, same thing will happen, say, when somebody's in a relationship or married and say their spouse cheats or something. And their entire world crumbles around them because what they based their foundation, their stable datum of life changed, and it really makes them really question all of life and who am I and what really matters. And there's no stable thing to kind of cling on to. Same thing happens, say, if you were in a tornado. A tornado might lift you off the ground like Dorothy in The Wizard of Oz, and all of a sudden you're going around in circles, and there's things up in the clouds and all these particles going all directions, and you're really overwhelmed and really confused because there's no ground to take a look at to get you oriented. And this is what's happening for people right now. There's nothing to ground you. There's nothing stable. Everything's unknown right now. Everything's unknown of where you're going to work exactly, where you're going to live, where are you going to be able to get food in the future, like if we got into a really bad economical crisis or depression, where there's no stability. There's nothing to cling on to in your identity. There's nothing to cling on to in the known. And human beings and the mind wants to figure things out. So if you don't know things, people have a really hard time living in uncertainty. They want to cling on to things. The mind wants to cling on to things. And so this is really life doing for you what you can't do for yourself, because it really is where you have to ultimately surrender. You have to surrender and have faith that there's something going on for your highest good. If all of life is designed for awakening, that right now is the ultimate surrender to faith, to recognize and totally get that there's something working for you and not against you. Because look, if your hobbies are taken away, like I have friends that are in the salsa dancing world, you can't go out and salsa dance and hold people's hands and in the midst of a pandemic, right? Some people love the church, church. You can't go to church right now. Some people love the gym. You can't do that. So who are you if you've been stripped of everything? Like literally everything, at a level of questioning, what's it going to be like? Imagine you couldn't go back and do those things, Sometimes we get down because we can't create what we want to create, Sometimes we can't, do the things we want to do. And if we can't do that, if we're locked in kind of a prison and the effect of something feels like we're the effect of something, then who are you? What really matters? What do you really care about? And this is where we do the ultimate surrender. I think that we've all surrendered mentally at some place in our life, whether it's like, we have to surrender and realize that nothing will fulfill us out there. Sometimes people surrender and they say, I don't want to live, but I'm not willing to take my life, but I am going to surrender to, serving life and doing something if I'm going to be on this planet anyway. And this is an ultimate surrender of, what would it be like? I invite you right now, if you're feeling down, if you're feeling in a funk, if you're feeling hopeless, I invite you to take the ultimate surrender and surrender to something beyond what you've known. The world, as we open back up eventually through this lockdown and through the pandemic, you get to say what you want, not keeping up with the Jones, what would it be like? And I invite you to actually kind of play in this mentally during this time. What would it be like if you didn't give an F, right? What if you didn't, need to live where you live? What if you actually didn't need to do the right thing anymore for, obviously nothing like illegally, but what if you didn't need to do what was the right thing in the eyes of your friends or your family or your children? Like, what would it be like, What if you didn't need to be there for your family? What if you didn't need to be presentable to the world? What would you do? Where would you go? What if you, only had 1 year to live, live like you're dying, as the song says? Like, what if you actually surrendered? What if you surrendered to something beyond what you've known? What if you let go of everything you've ever known? What if you let go of all your material belongings? What if you let go and you just everything? What if you did the ultimate surrender? What if you said, use my life for the highest good? I don't know what that is for you. What if you ultimately surrendered and let go of everything, the world, the old world? This is the new world, and it's being born right now. And the coolest thing is that it's like, again, the universe or God does for you what you can't do for yourself. Like, what if this is your higher self saying, you get to do it all over. You get to start new without having a whole new lifetime. Right now, life's presenting you with something like a total reset. And sometimes it looks like it's hard because you got to let go of everything you've ever known. But in some way, there's a huge blessing in having to let go of everything. So what now? Where do you want to go? Maybe it's an entirely different area of the world. Maybe it's recreating a completely new career. Maybe it's, having an entirely new way you do things with friends. I know my friends, we were doing so many things that I think, why don't we just, hang out in each other's homes and do some potlucks and have ceremonies and do stuff. And then instead of always going out to, different areas, just different things, different ways of creating your life. And I think that every single one of my friends right now is saying, if we're not in LA for media and for studios and being out at fancy restaurants and doing all the things that we do in LA, it's a very LA thing, It's been so beautiful during this lockdown. We're getting so much more in touch with Mother Nature in Los Angeles, and I long for Mother Nature. I love being one with Mother Nature. Oftentimes I'll go off on trips alone just to be with Mother Nature, to be with the stars at night, and to be able to meditate in silence all alone. What would it be like if we're stripped of everything materially for a minute? What do we really care about? Who do we really care about? And this is the opportunity. So know that this is different than normal of feeling down. And I think that a lot of people, again, are thinking, well, I'm down because the economy, or I'm down because I lost my job, or I'm down because I'm stuck in my home, or I'm down because... No, it's not out there in the world. You're feeling down because there's something that's known that you got to let go of. From a spiritual perspective, the identity of being attached to those old systems. What if you're feeling down because you got to let go of all that so that you can be reborn and create from nothing? It's not going to ever fulfill you. The economical, stability of a job. It's never ever going to fulfill you if you just got out of your house. Remember? Do you remember people have such bad amnesia? They forgot that they got down before, even when the economy wasn't whatever, or when you did have your job, and when you were able to get out and about, or when you weren't in arguments with your, partner. You still had those days when you're like, I'm in a funk and I'm feeling down and I'm feeling hopeless. You forgot. Remember, it doesn't matter what's going on in the world. You still get in those funks. You still get hopeless. You still feel down sometimes. And we keep trying to find something out there that's going to be the answer. Spiritually, it's never out there. It's never out there. We have to find that place within. We have to find our own authentic swing. We have to find our own truth and stop looking to the world to compare ourselves to whomever or think that we're going to be happy when the world goes back to being normal. It's never going to be normal. You're always going to feel that void until you find your own inner strength, that unshakable, that undeniable aspect of yourself that is not in this world. It's not of this world. It is the creation of whatever it is that you truly want to create for your new life. And so as we go into today, back into today, I invite you to do the ultimate surrender, to let go of everything you've ever known, to imagine what it would be like if you handed your life over to your higher self, if you let go and didn't give a fuck anymore, and let go of keeping up with the Jones, trying to do the right thing, no longer being needed by people, by your family, by anything. Where do you want to create the authentic aspect of who you are? To live and create the new world, your new world, of what you want to create for yourself. And you get to say what that is. And so I simply know this, in this, knowing that no matter what you're going through, the world is working for you and not against you. Let go. Swirl around in the unknown. You cannot cling on to anything right now. And this is what the universe is trying to do for you, so that you can recognize you're none of this stuff out there. That in that swirling around, you get to close your eyes and get centered in that silence and that peace and that knowingness and that truth. You get to get tapped into that always is totally grounded in the truth of who you are. And in that, you get to say and create your new world, okay? Have a beautiful day, and may you live the truth. Thank you for tuning in to Soulciété and Dr. Erin podcast. If you've had a calling to be a spiritual leader or coach, you can go to soulciété.com and check out our free training. If you've received value here, I would love it if you take a moment and give a 5-star review. In exchange, I have a ton of free gifts for you. Grab your free Awakening book, 40 guided meditations, and digital manifesting masterclass. I also have a free money meditation and worksheet for you so you can begin to break through your scarcity mindset and claim your birthright of prosperity. You can get all of your gifts and learn about our upcoming transformational events in my bio link in both Instagram and Facebook. That's under drerin.tv, which is DRERIN.tv. Also, I'd love to invite you into our free private community on Facebook under groups called Soulciété. That is facebook.com/groups/Soulciété. That's SOULCIETE. Have a divine day, and may you live your truth.